Welcome to 20th Century Geek. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 20th Century Geek. I'm your regular host, Scott Weatherly, and I'm all on my own. This is a sort of a mini episode, just a bit of an end of year review that I'm going to be doing. It's not a big, no real topic. I actually want to talk about a couple of things. It's been a good year. 2018 has been a fascinating year for us at 20th Century Geek. I've had some great episodes. I've spoken to some fascinating people, and I've really enjoyed pretty much everything I've done this year. And I want to thank all the guests I've had on across all the year. I think everyone's been fantastic. Anybody that's contributed to 20th Century Geek has always brought their A game. And some of the ones that are really standing out, like Julian Darius, who's helped on a number of occasions, will be back and back soon. And I really want to thank him because he does a cracking job and always brings some amazing insight. But there's others. Mike, of course, hasn't been around as much lately because he's really, really busy. But he'll be back as well. We'll be bringing Mike back soon. But all the people have come on, and the amazing things. I've managed to speak to Bernard Cornwell this year about Sharp, Jason Lackey, who appeared, Jason Salkey, who'd appeared in the Sharp series, Justin Schenkero, who had appeared in Erie, Indiana. Some of the most great guests who, when I reached out to them, were courteous and kind and generous with their time, and I really appreciate it. So thank you to all of those that have been on the show. But the thank you also goes out to the people that support the show. And I have to say, there's people like Nick Bray, who on Patreon, who's always supported the show, and others on Twitter, basically sort of, anybody that always listens, always interacts. Green Lantern HQ, Jack's Musings, Nerds Chatting, we have a Hulk pod, X Geeks, and so many more. Just such a great supportive community online for all this sort of podcasts. They always retweet the episode shout outs and interact, answer questions, join polls, make suggestions. I enjoy all the other podcasts in this community. They're all fantastic, and I want to say, hope you all guys, everyone who's ever involved with this, had a great Christmas and all the best for 2019. Some of the things you guys have talked about and things you're doing differently, or if you're going to continue, I so hope you have a fantastic year and enjoy it all. So what have been sort of like the real shout outs for 2018 for me? As I said, the big ones I want to shout out is speaking to some of the people we've spoken to, the people I've had on the podcast. But we've also had some good ones. Earlier in the year, I did 80 Years of Superman across 3 episodes. And we wanted to talk about some of the most fascinating parts of the Superman mythos, his history in pop culture, on film, on the page, even on radio, everything about the Big Man of Steel, the Big Blue Boy Scout. And I really enjoyed doing that. The research behind that was a joy, and I learnt an awful lot about the character and the people involved in it. The other good ones is, like I say, it's been doing things like working with Gareth Powell most recently to do the Rocky retrospective, which was a great success and huge fun again to watch the films, go back and watch the whole franchise, and just really get into some of the nitty gritty about those films, which I really, really enjoyed. The other thing is, of course, we've not only got the podcast, we've now got a YouTube channel, and so it's in its infancy, it's early days. Still trying to sort of tweak how I do things, but I'm enjoying it. It's good fun, and there will be more YouTube videos in 2019, and more than just me waffling on. I'm hopefully going to get some guests on. We're going to get some people coming on to join me on the YouTube channel to talk about different things. I might go out and about. A lot of it's been in a single location so far. But do you know what? I think I'm going to go out on the road. I'm going to do some bits and pieces out there, and let's try a few new things, something a bit different. Keep things fresh. So, just to think about these things from a nerd culture point of view, I had to have a quick think about things, and this really has been the year of the comic book movie. I mean, there's been some good, there's been some bad, but overall it's been really successful. I mean, we kicked off the year with Black Panther, we had Deadpool 2, Avengers Infinity War, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Aquaman, Spider-Verse. It's just been an awful lot of comic book movies, and for the most part they've been good. Even Venom, I didn't actually get around to seeing Venom, unfortunately, so I can't comment on that, but all the other ones I've seen I've thoroughly enjoyed. I think it's been a really successful year, and there's more to come. This year's been interesting for me in seeing these films. I've appreciated them and I've enjoyed them, and I enjoy seeing the different takes that we get in now. There was more of a concern from my point of view, less about superhero fatigue, more about sort of superhero plateau. This notion that, we're going to get the same sort of movies, and they're going to hit a bit of a plateau, and they're going to hit a trend and a formula, and they're going to sort of run out of imagination and run out of ideas. But this year, I think, has shown that there is still a risk of that, and I actually think the risk of that is in Marvel more than anything. I really enjoyed Black Panther, but whilst the cast and the story and the special effects are all incredibly strong, there's still that Marvelness about it that I feel there's a sheen that could after Endgame drop off. I think once we get a closure of that, they need to do something incredibly different to shake things up. Things need to be reshaken up, I think, to introduce something different, something new, and I just hope they do that. Especially when you look at the other things that have happened. So again, I know Venom and Aquaman have been criticised for being less quality. They're not films, they're movies. But from what it's in the Venom, it's a popcorn movie. It's done really well. I'm really glad that a lot of Venom fans have really enjoyed it. I don't know, there's a lot of, having seen Aquaman, I watch it and I can see there's a lot wrong with that film. It's got some real issues, but it's a hell of a ride. It's great fun. It's a ball to the wall popcorn film, and it looks amazing. Visually, I mean, it looks stunning, and James Wan is someone to watch in this film. I think he's still got more to give us, and I think if he could do something with some other heroes and stuff, I think it'd be really fascinating to see what he can do. But it's still very much, I mean, let's be honest, Aquaman and Black Panther, there are so many elements very, very similar. They trend very, very similar, and I think that's the worry. So I'm hoping to see something different. I mean, New Mutants is still going to come out, whether they release it or not. I'm still hoping they do. But this idea of having superheroes in horror, I'm all for that. I'm very, very excited about that. I think that's fascinating. But I think there's so much more that we can do. I think there's a wealth in that to be mined that's not there yet. I honestly think that although we're enjoying what's happening, I think we as viewers are getting a little bit complacent in our expectations. We go in and go, it's an amazing Marvel film, it's war, it's the best thing ever, blah blah blah, and it's because they're the people we like. We're going to a franchise, the end of a franchise now with Endgame, and it's going to make $1 billion. There's no doubt. This thing doesn't have to release a trailer, and it's going to make $1 billion. But I still look back and think, is that because the films are great? I'm getting so invested in these characters that we're gonna go anyway. I think that's part of it. I think the films are very, very, very good. I think Infinity War was amazing, hugely rewatchable. But I just don't know, it needs to up the ante in some way, and I don't mean by bigger explosions and bigger spectacle. I just mean they need to be shaken up a little bit. Having said that, we on the side of horror. I've really enjoyed a lot of things this year. I've missed some. I still haven't seen Hereditary. I know. I'm sorry. It's something I've got to do. But when you think we had the Halloween 2018, Quiet Place, Ghost Stories. Ghost Stories is amazing. The Haunting of Hill House. Horror's been really, really strong as well for me this year. And I've really enjoyed a lot of that. So, really, sort of, I'm just flipping about all over the place, really. But 2018 has been a good pop culture year. There's been some really interesting things coming out of it. I'll be perfect honest, I've started to lean a little bit away from comics. It's been an interesting one from my point of view. At the start of the year, I was receiving an awful lot of monthly floppies, and I'm down to about 3 at the moment, 3 or 4, and I'm leaning back into trades. And I just think that going back, again, this is not a comment on anything that's been released at the moment. It's just I think my tastes have changed enough that I'm going, I want to read a full story. And I've literally just completed this morning, finished White Knight, didn't bother reading it in floppies, couldn't be bothered. I thought I'll wait for the trade. Got the trade for Christmas and I've completed it. And Sean Gordon Murphy, his artwork and storytelling are fantastic. I think it's a great, great story. It opens up some really interesting story opportunities beyond that I hope he explores in another volume. But that leads on to this idea that the Black Label that DC are doing, another great opportunity. I'm really interested to see what they're going to be doing. But from a floppies point of view, especially, I've been a DC guy this year. I've really enjoyed Doomsday Clock. Batman Damned has been really, really interesting. It's just been some good bits and pieces, but it's not been huge. So really, I just want to say that's really it for 2018. It's been a good year. Been some interesting bits and pieces. But the key thing I wanted to get into was things are going to be changing a little bit in 2019 for 20th Century Geek. We are going to be trying something new. Always got to keep things fresh. But one of the negatives of the podcast that I would say in retrospect is some of it had been a little rushed. A lot of people when they contact me, say, "Are you guys?" or the 20th Century Geek team and all sorts of stuff. And I appreciate that in some cases if it seems like that, but the fact of the matter is, it's me and my laptop. Okay, that's who 20th Century Geek is. It's very much me and whatever I can sort of pull together and edit together and get out there. No, I'm not looking for any, the smallest, littlest violin out there. I'm not looking for that. This is my choice. I love doing this, and I've really enjoyed doing it. It's a passion of mine. This is my passion project. But I need to be more organised, and I think that's something I've got to do. And I think in some cases there are topics that I'm a bit scattershot on, and I think sometimes that has affected content and topic quality. So I'm taking a bit of a sort of a proactive stance for 2019, and I'm changing things up. So what we're going to do is we are going to have specific categories that episodes are going to fall in, and that will give us a sort of boundary guidelines on how that episode will be created, researched, discussed. Okay, and this is going to go through for all the different people that I'm going to be working with in 2019. So just to give you an idea of some of the categories that we're going to be working through. So the first one is a thought piece. So a thought piece is an open question with a guest, or hopefully someone who's a bit more special in that area, and we'll be talking about things like this one's coming soon actually, Tim Burton and modern fairy tales, or counterculture in 60s comics. And another one that I'm really interested in talking about is cartoons and 80s commercialism. Now that was fascinating to me, because this is the idea of sort of the invasion of the toy market into the cartoons, that sort of blending of the commercialism and cartoons, everything from Transformers and He-Man and all those kinds of things, and how it affected us, but how it sort of became iconic cartoons. So that's a thought piece. The next one is an iconic review. So this is a detailed review of a book or a comic or a film or a TV show that has had a major impact and influence on pop culture. So we'll look at things like where it stands in history, where it stands today, what's its legacy, what was it influenced, where is it most evident. And the first few things we're going to be talking about are The Dark Knight Returns, because don't forget, it's 80 years of Batman in 2019, so kicking off the year with one of the strongest Batman stories. And then Alan Moore's Miracle Man. Now, Miracle Man is, I would say, his strongest satire of the superhero genre, and we'll be talking about why I think that's better than Watchmen, and is actually a forgotten masterpiece. So the other one we're going to talk is, we're not leaving these behind, we're still going to be doing them, is our retrospective reviews. So this is a review of an entire franchise. So we're going to be talking about things like the good, the bad, and the embarrassing, all those films that exist in a franchise. And we're going to be covering RoboCop, Mad Max, The Terminator, The Man with No Name. They're all franchises, but we're also going to do things like thematic trilogies. So Terry Gilliam's Imagination and Age trilogy, and John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. Now, we'll get more into those on the day, but they're the sort of things. Go Google them, actually, by the way, if you get a chance. Google Terry Gilliam's Imagination and Age trilogy and John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. Great films in there, and we're going to be talking about those in the future. So the next one is A Moment in History. Now, this is leaning more into the historian in me, really. And this will be a deep dive into an historic event that affected the course of pop culture history. And events that we'll be investigating are things like the publication of The Seduction of the Innocent, or the era known as the Satanic Panic. And we're going to get into the people that were involved in those, why they happened, what was the social and economic climate that actually sort of brought about these events, and what's their influence today. Like, how have they impacted on things today? Are they still relevant? Do they still have an impact? And why they're important to understand and to look into. And then the final one is called A Spotlight On. So this is a spotlight. This is just like a focused pinpoint on a real person or a fictional character, what they did and their legacy. So this is like a real deep dive into a sort of specific area. Like, it can sprawl out from there, but the centre of that will be a person. And some of the things we're going to be talking about, some of the people, I should say, we're going to be talking about is real people is H.P. Lovecraft, Philip K. Dick, Alan Moore, and Vincent Price. They're the biggies. The fictional, I'm going to do a deep dive on Moon Knight, Wolverine has come up, and I don't know about Batman. Obviously, it's 80 years of Batman. That might be a too big a topic. We will see. But that's what we're going to be doing. And so what I want you to do is have a think, if you get a chance to, or don't, I don't care. But if you're really interested, have a think, and please contact me and let me know if you think there's anything in there that you want to sort of throw out, especially in the thought pieces. If you think there's any open questions you think you'd want myself and a guest to talk about on 20th Century Geek, let me know, because the 20th century is replete with amazing things to think about, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this. So that's all I want to talk about. So for all of you out there listening, for everybody, thank you so much for listening. It's greatly appreciated, and I love all the interactions I have on all the social medias. So please keep it up. It's going to be bigger and better in 2019. We're going to keep pushing on this. I've got some other irons in the fire with other people like Bryn Hammond, looking at doing some stuff there, and we'll have to see how it goes. But 20th Century Geek is going through some exciting times. So thank you very much. I hope you had a merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And to everybody listening, all the best for 2019. Now, if you want to get in contact, don't forget, I'm going to repeat all this again. You can find us on Twitter at 20th Century Geek, or as 20th Century Geek on all the other social medias: Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram. All those kinds of things. Or if you want to email me directly, it's 20thcenturygeek@gmail.com. That's 20thcenturygeek@gmail.com. Apart from that, have a great new year, drink sensibly, and we'll talk soon. Thank you very much.